Welcome. I'd like to talk to you about labeling things and then believing the labels are what things are. That's a pretty arresting statement for many, and yet there are more people coming to investigate that very question. I worked when I was studying with my teacher, Peter. I was very grateful that right from the start, our very first workshop that I attended with him, he he immediately pointed out that um, everything is a seeming. I'd been studying non-dual awareness for probably a number of years by then. So, I kind of had the basics. Um, but still, you know, when we're taught as toddlers this language that automatically creates a subject and object, you don't just decide that you're going to think differently now. Okay, there's no subject and object. No, I exist. Okay, that's all wonderful. I got it now. Check. No, it's not like that. At least it wasn't for me. And I got to tell you, I'm only speaking from direct experience. There are so many teachers out there. There's so much YouTube. There's so many books. There's so many gurus, which, by the way, I'm not. uh, that I mean, which is actually wonderful because, in this kind of time frame, apparent time frame we're in, there's a lot of shit going on. And so the fact that people are exploring reality at all is pretty miraculous. So so the fact that we're looking at into anything is pretty much a miracle. So what I was saying is we were taught as toddlers and we were actually rewarded if you think about it. um, the parent, when they finally hear the the little toddler say, "Mommy, ball, Johnny," whatever, the parent gets excited. So the excitement from the parent is uh, a teach attention. What am I trying to say? It's it's getting attention. It's um, it's getting approval. This is what little children are, seeking all the time. So, this is how we're reinforced to believe in this separate thing, this separate experience, this, that, the other thing. And then, of course, if you think about just when we were pre-verbal, even if you have your own kids, um, the mind is not operating that way. It's simply absorbing impressions, absorbing colors, textures, sounds, sensation, feelings. Of course, none of that, even those words don't even exist. It's just this mystery. And so when we're then beginning to be programmed with labels, it's kind of we're entering a doorway of this whole different world. And, when I would write about it, I would say it's kind of like losing one's innocence in a way, because the innocence was just not having labels or an identity or any ideas about anything. And of course, none of that's wrong. It's all part of this miraculous, mysterious unfolding. But there is a bit of a losing innocence. I'm saying that kind of in a poetic way. And so, here we are. Now just believing um, this is a laptop, this is Nancy, you know, she's a female, she's such and such an age, uh, this is a glass, I mean, it's all good. We need to communicate with each other. So no problem there. But at the same time, what was discovered here as this unfolding about reality um, continued was holding everything much more loosely. All of these concepts that we've acquired and now believe, and of course, you know, science. I'm not trying to debunk science. I'm not going to go tell you the world is flat. I'm not going to tell you anything other than really nothing is the way we were taught that it is. But quickly to add, investigate this for yourself. Check it out. Now, in opening to the mystery, uh, there was a lot of unfolding that I would, in terms of linear time, I would say had to come first because, as I had mentioned, um, th this nervous system was really, it definitely had its difficulties. And so that all seemed to need to be dealt with in a variety of ways. So when it finally came to discovering these teachers, uh, there was a lot of investigating going on, um, solo camping where, you know, I was reading books. This is before I met Peter, um, but I was reading non-dual books and just see, just and because of also my psychotherapy background, just seeing the mental framework that, kind of comes with as you kind of go through life, so to speak. Uh, we pick up on all these ideas, we learn things, science tells us things. Um, and again, I'm not debunking anything. I am only suggesting look into your own experience. Can you know from your own experience? Um, I know that I was a part of different spiritual groups uh, years earlier, decades earlier, and what I really began to see and kind of began to lose interest in is how people turn spirituality into this, I don't know, kind of conceptualizing reality. I mean, it just turns into all these concepts. And I just got really tired of that. And I suppose it can happen in any sort of teaching, is that, you know, conceptualizing can uh, run away with itself. And then now we're steeped in concepts rather than what is actually here, what is actually being experienced. Um, you know, because I love the natural world, I would go outside and take a walk and just notice how the mind operated. I mean, how it labeled things. Um, I remember I'm just watching birds. Oh, and that was what I wanted to mention. Yeah. I just happened to see a bird fly by, and I I know that I've been told by many people that I'm talking with in the beginning, they start to recognize their habit of labeling everything. Like, they're out for a walk and then just this random labeling. Oh, tree, house, flower, car. I mean, I don't recall that ever happening here, but apparently it may. And so that's beautiful noticing. Noticing is really key. And it's not noticing so that you try to stop anything or that, anything is wrong or out of place. That's the beauty of everything is welcome. That's the beauty of just being with what is. But you can notice the habit of labeling and maybe just take a breath and continue on with whatever is being noticed and just notice what thought is doing. um so in my book I remember this scene. I'm taking a walk on the waterfront and I see a bird and I notice the mind is saying, oh, there's a bird pecking on the ground a few feet ahead. I mean, the mind is narrating what is being seen. And, apparently that happened quite a bit before it started getting noticed. And what was recognized in that moment, I mean, it was just an instantaneous poof, is seeing how labeling of bird, well, what is bird? I mean, that's a concept, that's an idea. And again, I quickly want to say it's not like we can't call things things, but just hold all these ideas much more lightly, recognize the the mystery of this nature, just how it's just mystery appearing. We can just call it an appearance uh, in this field of experiencing. So what I saw in that moment is there is no actual bird, uh, meaning what is appearing is so much more than simply the sound bird. And of course, what would it be called in Chinese or in French? And pecking a few feet ahead, well, what does that really mean? There's just this appearance arising in experience. And for me, holding it lightly like that also enabled a recognition that this appearance was not separate from this, from me. It was an aspect of this field of experiencing. So it's one seamless field of experience, which, how do I say, interrupts that habit of subject object. And again, not that it's wrong, it's just that things can be recognized more as it truly is than as we were conditioned and programmed to believe. So why would this matter? Um, you know, without realizing it, as I'm saying, we hold everything to be a certain way. We have concepts, we have beliefs, we have overlays, we have interpretations. All of that's going on unconsciously. And once it becomes recognized, I mean, then this whole, you know, kind of window opens up, so to speak, because if you happen to notice the way all of this is held a particular way also invites, a lot of suffering. Because keep in mind, uh, thought is dualistic, and it's always, I mean, I just remember how much I suffered from things uh, that I thought were wrong or shouldn't be happening or needed to be improved or gotten better or just, I mean, look at our world today, this apparent world and the way we see it. And again, there is no denying anything, there is no negating, but there's a shifting viewpoint, there's a shifting way of orienting to things being separate and things being on this continuum of better or not as good. To me, recognizing that continuum was absolutely, you know, the beginning of a new world, if you would. So, as I'm saying, uh, there's nothing that needs to be denied. It's seeing how reality tends to be held by thought, how it's judged, how it's liked or disliked. And there's a reality that embraces all of that. So, you know, I can listen to something on the news, a reaction can appear, and there's also noticing appearing at the same time, noticing the reaction, noticing the emotion that arises because of the interpretation. So there's a place for expansiveness, and that's what I'm wanting to share because that's what has uh, had so much meaning here is just seeing, how do I put it, seeing how this framework and this interpretation and these judgments, can be present, but there's also this mystery. And with this mystery, there is not knowing, there is just experiencing this flow of seamless inseparability. And this, and I don't want to get into any kind of, non-dual jargon. Um, so I'm speaking to this a bit poetically, but there is a lightness, and this can be explored simply by noticing the way interpretation happens and just stepping back and having a pause, just having a moment of, can I really say what this is? Can I really know what this is? But I can investigate it, not with this, but with just this felt sense of being. And maybe that's where I'd like to leave this conversation today, is this felt sense of being. And of course, someone could say, well, what the hell is being? It's not a concept that I'm referring to. It's direct experiencing. Um, sit and breathe. Sit and just feel into this stillness, not as a separate entity, but just as experience itself. And I can only say again, from my own direct experience, it's a felt sense. Something is present, but find out for yourself. Play with experience. It's an invitation. Thank you so much for being with me.